What's up, Rockstars? Welcome to my favorite time of the year. Not because I have presents under the tree that are hopefully board games, minis, all that sort of cool awesome stuff. Or maybe nerd shirts, just like this Into the AM shirt right here. Link down, description below, save 10%. No, not just that. It's because I love the videos I get to do, the end of the year, looking forward to the next year videos where I get to distill down my top 10s. The reason I think this is important, I'll tell you right after we roll the logo. Thank you to my channel sponsor Into the AM. As a company that believes hard work and a great product is a proper way to conduct business, I am delighted to have them as part of the channel. They have some of the coolest graphic t-shirts around and an absolute best fit and feel that has continually exceeded my expectations. With new shirts arriving all the time and other products like boxers, hats, and even a monthly shirt club, I wholeheartedly recommend them to you. Check out the link in my description of this video for an exclusive 10% off everything they sell. All right, logos out of the way, disclaimers out of the way, let's get to it. One of the reasons I enjoy top 10 lists is not just because they're kind of short and concise and, kind of fun things to do, but because I think it's important to make your own top 10. You don't have to make a video about it or even tell me about it, though. Feel free to put yours down in the description or in the comments below, so that I can see what you guys are into and maybe we can see where we align, where I need to focus coverage more, or maybe show me something cool. But the reason is because we see a lot of really cool games on display, especially in the crowdfunding space, Kickstarter, GameFound, BackerKit, that sort of stuff. With that in mind, it's always a hype fest. It's always FOMO, fear of missing out. It's always the desire to get the next new shiny. And we always feel like the last game we played was the bestest ever, or the last game we saw was the bestest ever. And I think when it comes to spending responsibly, when it comes to focus, and just knowledge of what is coming up really helps you know what's around the corner. Yeah, that might look cool, but this looks better, and I think does that job better, or I would enjoy that more, or we'd table that more, or whatever it might be. And so what I want to do is create a top 10. Go ahead and write down the top games that you are into and use that as a decision point when it comes to funding. In other words, let's say you're going to back 10 Kickstarter games next year. Well, of those 10, do you want to end up backing more than 10? Are you okay with that? Or would you rather something replace that 10? And if not, maybe you don't need to back it. Ideally, this practice actually saves you money, or if nothing else, focuses your money on what's actually important. So that's why I do it. I hope you enjoyed. Let's get to it. Number 10 is Maladum. This is essentially fantasy core space, though they don't want to actually think about it that way because there's a lot of changes and updates and differences as well. But my patrons love core space. It seems like a very cool kind of semi-co-op style thing that you can go full co-op as well, where you're just trying to essentially be a scavenger, a smuggler, stuff like that. It seems kind of cool. The fantasy version, though, sounds neat. This is by Battle Systems, who actually normally started doing terrain. For instance, they did a lot of the terrain for Modiphius's Fallout Wasteland Warfare early on, that red rocket scene and stuff like that. All that terrain was through Battle Systems. They do some great terrain, and this is the actual board game. That's right, you can play a board game that looks like this, and it is game-changing from what I understand. It is huge. This is a core space thing, so you can kind of see the sci-fi version of it. But yeah, this is big, guys. This is a big deal. We're spending all this money on physical components because we want to play a physical game. Otherwise, we just go play a video game. They cost less, they're cheaper, they're easier to set up, tear down, right, all that kind of stuff. We do it because we want to be around family, friends, and enjoying a physical product without the digital stuff there. Most often, at least a lot of you are like that. This looks to really edge into that, I think, or lean into that really, really well. And so I think that's super cool and exciting. And yeah, I'm hoping to grab it and enjoy it and get over all of the brown. It's my hope. Number 9 is the Elder Scrolls Betrayal of the Second Era. I mentioned this might be a little bit higher on some of your lists. The only reason it isn't, for me, isn't because this will actually probably be my first Chip Theory games that I've backed, but because it's Skyrim. As much as I enjoy Oblivion and Skyrim, stuff like that, I feel the last few video games that they focused on, the eras they have, mostly human-based, right, are just a little bit boring. I remember Morrowind. Do you guys remember Morrowind and how, crazy some of the stuff you saw there? I mean, yeah, giants, dragons, those are cool and all, but man, okay. Anyway, yeah, the amount of interesting creatures you can fight, stuff like that, I just feel are kind of limited in the medieval-ish kind of setting. But either way, this looks super cool. I like all of their art, which is saying a lot. This is probably the first time I would say that as well. I don't think it's the best art ever. Like, I don't know how I feel necessarily about that dragon, but suffice it to say, I'm super pumped to try it out. Number 8, we have Quantum Shock. This was something I had almost written off. If you recall, I was showing this off really early on. Like, I think 2 years ago, I was showing this off to you guys, and then nothing has happened. And so I'm like, okay, what the heck's going on here? And then, lo and behold, they start doing some more updates on their Facebook, and it's going to be a thing. And so I'm super looking forward to it, hopefully in 2023. It seems very cool. There's a lot of, it's like a cyberpunk horror sci-fi, if that makes sense. So it's like one part Dead Space, and then one part Cyberpunk 2077, and then one part like Deep Madness. Like, it just looks really, or Event Horizon, I guess I'll say that. Which just sounds cool to me. It sounds like there's a lot of variety. There's some crazy looking miniatures that you're kind of dealing with. There's the really cool cybernetic stuff that you're doing and stuff. The whole quantum shock idea sounds neat if you read about it. Just, it looks super cool, and I'm really interested in learning more. Next up, we have The Last of Us by CMON. This is The Last of Us, the board game, I believe is what this will be. And it's still something I'm very excited about, partially because of all the hype around the HBO series, and me recently starting to play the first one again, because I pretend the second one doesn't exist. But that's besides the point. Either way, I will be excited to see what CMON can bring. Now, this was announced September 25th, 2020. It still has not come there. That doesn't mean that it won't. They did the same thing with Night of the Living Dead with Zombicide. They announced it way earlier and then eventually released it. I think they're just spending the time to develop it, work on it, and get everything set up and ready. And additionally, if it's not a thing, they would have taken this page down. For instance, they announced the Zombicide Evolution for the Tebru system, and then later on said no, and they took the site down. This, you can still get to this site. This is still a thing. I am looking forward to it, hopefully in 2023. If so, it'll be the next CMON game that I back, most definitely. Super excited to get a board game version of that. I love the crafting, I love the sneaking, I love the combat, I love the set pieces, I love it all, and I hope that they can capture that really, really well. Next up, we have a good one. This is Blood Oak Chapter 1. This is by the guys who did Tenju and a whole bunch of other really cool minis. They were doing some STLs, some Ancestor STLs. I think they've done 3, but then there's been add-ons like this lady here that's like directly from, I think, the Blood Oak Chapter 1 skirmish game. They have some cool tiles that look kind of neat, some 3D tiles. It's going to be super fancy, and I look forward to seeing the next bit of that we can have, and hopefully towards the end of 2023, we can actually see a launch. I am super pumped about that because you don't get too many games with minis that look like this. And I'm not just talking the texture, though they're great at that. I'm not just talking the look of it necessarily, but just the overall sculpt design is incredible. Is really, really good. I really dig that. So really looking forward to that. All right, finally, Final Fantasy VII Remake, the board game, coming soon. So we will see. I don't think it's going to be crowdfunded. I don't care. I'm super excited about it. And my daughter is too. If it's even passable and has minis, we'll definitely get it. If it doesn't have minis and it's good, we'll probably still get it. It's one of my daughter's favorite video games ever. She's really enjoyed it. I enjoy the IP a lot too. And super looking forward to seeing what it ends up being. It's made by Square Enix themselves. And my understanding is they're not exactly the best game developers. So we'll see, of course. But either way, I'm looking forward to it. Okay, we are getting into the top ones now, all right? So let's go ahead and just dive into the last part of this video. It's going to be good. At number 4, we have Dante, The Invasion of Hell. This is by Creative Game Studios. They did Dungeons of Drunagar, as you might know. They recently did the Apocalypse one, and they're hoping to launch this after that. At least I think Wave 1 is delivered or something like that. I know they're really trying to do that. Regardless, this sounds cool. It looks cool, and I'm super excited about it. It has Foreteller built into it right away. They've partnered with Foreteller before in the past, and that's going to be super good, I'm sure. And honestly, I think it seems neat. I actually did a deeper dive than this. They've had a bit more to show. I'll try and link to that video down in the description below, but it looks super neat. They have some super cool looking minis, and I'm excited to see how they create the Divine Comedy in a board game. All right, top 3, guys. Top 3. This is the big ones. I think you probably can guess all 3 of these, but if not, Well, then I'll surprise you. Maybe the order will surprise you. And number 3 is Batman Escape from Arkham Asylum. Yes, that's right. It's not my number 1, but it is super exciting. I think it would be more if there was more buzz around it. I'm not sure they've done any prototypes or anything like that. I don't think they did for Harry Potter. I'm not quite sure though. But I would like to see, I guess, a bit more unboxings, prototypes, people talking about it, reviewing it, playing it, enjoying it, and kind of creating that buzz. Additionally, I think the map tiles don't look pretty. I'm still excited about the game, don't get me wrong, but this is why it's not quite number 1. This was a new update they kind of just did, and looking at the tiles here, it does seem a little hodgepodgey, if that makes sense. There's very strong kind of changes from lighting and whatnot. And I mean, I understand gameplay wise, but I really hope the game is good because the minis seem cool. I love the idea. I love the concept. And so I am very excited for it. It's still my number 3, but that's why it's not quite number 1, because there is some crazy stuff coming on. Senko-Kushin, I am getting jazzed about this again, guys. There was a small update. I'll share that in a news video here very soon for you, and there'll be a big update too, I believe, next week. Of course, I'll cover that in depth, just like I did in all of my other updates covering their updates. There's a lot of updates, guys. But I mean, they got moths like this that you get to fight. I mean, come on, guys. The minis are going to be super cool. I also am recently building the Izanami mini that I finally got along with my bus, so I'll be showing those off here soon too. So super looking forward to this. This to me looks like it's on the Kingdom Death Monster level of complexity when it comes to being able just to make this your game. Like, you could just spend all the time on this. You could go really deep into this. Shadows of Brimstone's kind of like that too. It's like ATO or Aeon Trespass Odyssey, but I think it's an edge more than that. Aeon Trespass Odyssey, honestly, at least the whole entire prelude, plays actually pretty smoothly and very much still like a board game, and you can definitely just kind of play it, I feel a bit more casually. Same with like Oathsworn, stuff like that. But then stuff like Kingdom Death Monster, I don't think anything about Kingdom Death Monster is casual, and I feel Senko-Kushin is going to be the same way. It's going to be deep, it's going to be complex, it's going to be meaty, and it's going to be consuming. If that is a good thing for you, then I'm sure you're all over this. If not, well, keep that in mind then, at least when you go to see how much all of these beautiful hips minis are going to be. Next up, finally, number 1, Celestial. I'm showing this off to kind of, I guess, show you how it gets to number 1. It's not just the sci-fi, Chinese mythology, epic, prophetic, proportion story that's like Game of Thrones meets Chinese mythology meets sci-fi meets just awesomeness. Okay, I'm not talking about all that. I'm talking about the fact that it pretty much is StarCraft, the board game, and that you have hero units and HQs and buildings that produce other units, and you have these like smaller units that are going around and you're skirmishing and doing all these different things. There's an epic storyline. I'm not talking about all of that. I'm talking about the fact that this game won't fit back in the box once it's there. And it's not very often we get those. Kingdom Death Monster is kind of an example of that, right? This is a single mini that's going to be in the box, guys, and it's that big. Okay, this is a huge game. This game is one of the most audacious, I guess just like all or nothing. Let's just do something wild and crazy and see if we can crowdfund this epic concept I've ever seen since something like Kingdom Death Monster. No joke. I mean, it is that big of a thing. I have a mini here. I'll be showing you guys a painting of it here soon because I did paint it. Just wanted to show it off real quick so you can see it. My not so great painting, but you can kind of see the style is crazy, is different, is unique, a little weird. All of it just super, super cool. Way out there. Definitely, I feel like pretty much meant for crowdfunding, and it is definitely a long time coming and definitely my number 1. Guys, what is your top 10? I would love to hear what you guys are looking at. Is there something I should be taking a look at? Do you think something either shouldn't be on my list or should? Let me know in the comments below, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of 2022. I hope you enjoy the holiday season, or you already have been, I imagine. And with that, talk to you guys again very soon with a good news update. So stay tuned for that. Bye, guys.